What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. It is Wednesday, October 12th, if you're listening to the podcast. Tuesday, October 11th, if you're watching the podcast on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6. We're live like basically every day at 1 o'clock. Varies. Times may vary. Times experience. Punctuality may vary. Joining me to talk some betting trends and apparently guess historical dates surrounding Breech's wedding date, John Breech and Tyler Sullivan, aka Sully. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
You want me to tell everybody?
Okay,
I'm just going to say, Brinson, I gave out.
Hold on. I can't tell if anybody. I can't see the chat because my mouse is dead. I remember I told you this, Breech, and you said allegedly my mouse is dead.
I don't think it's dead.
I'm trying not to.
Are you killing mice for a living now? Is that part of the?
Put that on the historical dates of things that happened.
Yeah.
Brinson lost his marbles and started killing mice.
So it's entirely impossible. We're at week 6, a little early for it. Maybe week 9. Sure. Let's see. Okay. I'm trying to figure out how to best phrase this for podcast purposes. So like people should probably know because we were all. I mean, well, gosh, I guess you got married like what 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Well, so
5 years ago.
I'll just make this quick. Tyler Sullivan, who is obviously on the podcast, is getting married in February 2024. I'm allowed to say that, right? Okay.
Sure,
Brinson gave the look like, don't mention that.
I was thinking because you're like Tyler Sullivan. I called him Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
Like Tyler
Sully's
Sullivan.
getting married. Sully's getting married February 2024.
Everybody knows he's on the
It's a very formal announcement.
Exactly. Just announced it on the podcast. Breaking news. So then we were talking about wedding dates, and I said, can you guys guess mine if I give you 2 historical events that happened on the wedding date? And number one of it was the Titanic sank, or it hit the iceberg. I think it sank the day. And then Abraham Lincoln got shot. So not 2 great historical events. They couldn't even get the month. They didn't know what month Lincoln got shot. They didn't know what month Titanic sank. I was okay.
I got the year, though. I felt pretty good that I got the year.
Sully did get the year of Titanic. That might have been
he guessed a different date in April, and you said, "Yeah, that's a different historical event."
That was April 20th, which is definitely
much
different.
What did you say it was when he said April 20th?
I believe
you have to find something quick. Breech.
There's a lot of not good things that have happened on April 20th. So anyway, the answer was April 14th.
Okay, so you were okay. Boy, that was.
So let me be the first to say happy anniversary ahead of time.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, happy anniversary. I'm glad that you celebrate the Titanic sinking and one of our great presidents dying. You actively celebrate that day.
That's true. You do celebrate.
Actively celebrate, and like you buy you're like, hey honey, here's some flowers.
Titanic sank. My brother's birthday is on 9/11, so it's not a great, rough with the holidays around our family.
The Breeches just love to.
It's bad luck. It's bad luck. I don't want to tell anyone else's birthdays.
Well, don't go to the theater or take a cruise for your anniversary, I would say.
I want to see what happened on my birthday. Let's all right, Sully, why don't you
the podcast has been completely sidetracked because everyone wants to know what happened on her birthday.
Well, I didn't even want to bring up the whole reason why we started talking about weddings was because of songs to play and not play at the wedding.
Oh, well, where are you at on that one?
Well, we were talking about the song "Get Low," and then I was saying that was a discussion. We're playing it.
On my birthday, Windows 98 was released.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, wow,
that's exciting.
I'm going to call you Will Windows Brinson from now on.
To the Windows, to the.
That was a great segue.
Wait, nothing good has happened since. No, nothing significant. My birthday's got fairly minimal significance. Although 50 nations signed the United Nations Charter. That's a pretty big one. The first Motel 6 opened in the United States.
Okay, that's a big one.
Yeah.
You should celebrate that. Get a Motel 6 cake.
Oh, it's 626, so it makes sense,
Get the cake.
I thought there was something big as it related to the World War II. Maybe not.
People think that we've turned in like a History Channel podcast.
Sully, what's your birthday?
May 11th. I'm trying to see. There was assassination of a British Prime Minister, Breech. So, all right.
Okay, all right. Oh. So it's got me beat.
1997, IBM's Deep Blue computer defeated Garry Kasparov in chess. Big moment for our robot overlords taking over the.
That will be the day we point to.
An F5 tornado was in
When
Waco,
humanity
Texas.
falls.
My birthday is on December 31st. And
Nothing ever happens on December.
Hold on.
31st.
My birthday's on December 25th. I can't
hold
remember
on.
anything happened.
Thomas Edison gave the first demonstration of his newly developed lamp in 1987. So there's that.
That's a great one to have.
Breech, 1972. U.S. performed their first nuclear test in Nevada. Come on now. I got
a good
this.
one.
I got
That's
this.
a good one.
I got the horrible thing going.
Is that for your birthday?
That was May 11th, yeah. Is it the first or just a nuclear test? All right, well, they practiced the nuke that day. That was exciting.
Wait. Okay, never mind. I was the 24-24 thing had me confused.
It just looks cool. That's
Who is the
really
most
all it
famous
is.
person? This is Dom in the chat says I had the same birthday as Richard Gere, Caligula, and Von Hayes, former Phillies first baseman. I was born a different year, but same day that Princess Diana was killed. That's a big one. Who do you guys have anybody famous that you share a birthday with?
Cam Newton.
Oh,
Me and my guy.
Oh, that's a good one.
Patriots legend Cam Newton.
Derek Jeter here.
Ooh.
And Michael Vick.
I will admit that I am not the most attractive person with my birthday. I share a birthday with Liam Hemsworth, the guy who played McDreamy on Grey's Anatomy, and Orlando Bloom.
Yeah, you're at minimum the
Not
fourth
even
most attractive person.
it's rough.
In history of
Tough
your
life.
Chad
Tough life.
Bennington, also June 26th.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
We should get him on the podcast.
Mine is Val Kilmer.
I love Val Kilmer.
I sat next to Chad Pennington's parents at a Bengals game once.
Fun fact about Chad Pennington. He once told ESPN or ABC that his favorite food was biscuits and gravy.
That's delicious.
Yeah. Oh, this is a pretty big one for June 26th, my birthday. In the year 363 AD, Roman Emperor Julian is killed during a retreat from the Sassanid Empire. General Jovian is proclaimed emperor by troops on the battlefield. I know we all remember where we were for that one.
Yeah, Twitter was wild that day.
Saint Benedict II begins his reign as Catholic Pope. Man, this is not very good.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, geez, this one's weird. According to the Lüneburg manuscript, a piper leads 130 children of Hamelin away. Yeah.
Brinson, you have gone way too deep in this rabbit hole. I shouldn't have started this.
This is your fault.
I was gonna say I gotta put my hand up on this. I think it's my fault. I was the one who dragged us into this.
From wedding songs. So, what's the most disastrous thing that's ever happened on your birthday?
You can kind of get away from you too, but like where you're like, oh right, oh this is a good one. On my birthday, 1916, the Cleveland, now Guardians, experiment with numbers on jerseys in a game against the Chicago White Sox. The first time MLB players identified by numbers corresponding to those on the scorecard. That was in 1975.
What a moment.
It's 1916. All right. Anyway,
I've mentioned this before. Fun fact, though, the Bengals' 31-year playoff losing streak started on my birthday in 1991, January 1991.
That's a good one. I'm looking at a much better website to find this, by the way. The last website was terrible in terms of like stuff. This has like something for every year. I'm not
I
going
hope you guys don't use your birthday as like your password on any of your websites, because now we're just giving our birthdays out.
Or just like questions, like it's like, oh, when is your anniversary?
Yeah, all our security questions. We're all getting hacked after this podcast.
Real quick, Breech. What was your wife's maiden name? Just
what's the final 5 numbers of your social security, Breach?
Oh my goodness, they're the same as my birthday. Coincidentally,
Mike Stack says, I just joined your live video. Did you talk about Survivor yet? No. We were not talking about anything but historical dates on our various birthdays.
we're 9 minutes in. Everybody has turned off the podcast except for our history buffs out there who are like, oh, this is actually fascinating.
What can you imagine if it was like it was like on can you imagine like if you got to one of these things, it was like born on this day in 1981, Will Brinson. I'd be like, I mean, like that's how bad the day was in 81. Like there was just nothing else.
Really grasping at straws. So like, all right.
Right, like
CBS Sports podcast host Will Brinson was born on this date.
Yeah, I mean now like so for 81 for me, Stripes the movie premiered. So that's like that's pretty. It's actually a great movie. All right. Anyway, Man, now I just want to just spend my entire my degrees in history to carry on. Okay, this one's really grasping at straws. My birthday in 87, losing 9-0 to Red Sox. Yankees score 11 in third and win 12-11 in 10 innings. All right, like
Now we're just doing highlights.
yeah, could we just skip 87? I mean, what is this, Sports Center? Come on. Geez. Okay, this is ridiculous. 1990, 122 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona. That's
It's like Death Valley weather. How does somebody live in that?
Yeah. Okay. You guys want to talk some football trends?
Sure.
10 minutes in.
If we have to.
Let's do it.
Do we want to mention Survivor for Mike Stacks? Just briefly look at it since we're here. I mean, why not? Week 6 Survivor. So it depends on. We'll talk more about it Thursday on 9 minutes of watching old man Google stuff. That's pretty much this podcast. So like it depends on the size of the pool. For it, I've got one where it's like 7 other people remaining, and so we're not going to try and get cute. Like if I was in a huge Survivor pool, I would at least think about the Bears on Thursday night. I would at least think about it. I'm probably not going to do it, but I would think about it. That's how bad the Commanders are, but the Bears are also bad too.
They finally let Fields throw a little bit.
Yeah,
and he looked all right. He did have a huge touchdown run too that was called back.
The Packers are obviously in play. 1 o'clock, game 12 local for them. They got the Jets there. The Jets are 3-2, maybe a little bit paper tiger-ish of the Jets, but you can certainly use them. I think the 49ers are in play. They look second week on the road, but they looked really dominant against the Panthers, and the Falcons should struggle in a similar fashion. I would not mess around with the Colts hosting the Jaguars. The Ravens and the Giants feels a little flimsy between the Giants versus the Ravens. Bengals, Saints, not touching it. Rams, a clear candidate, hosting the Panthers. You wish that Matt Rule was still coaching. You hate the dead cat bounce back from the Panthers after they fired their coach.
But also PJ Walker against Aaron Donald and that Rams defense.
Line's terrible. Right.
The Rams offense doesn't even need to play, and they could probably win this game 7-0 or 7-3.
I mean, obviously, I don't think you're touching Cardinals, Seahawks, Bills, Chiefs, Cowboys, Eagles, or Broncos, Chargers. Those are all 4 o'clock or on games. So, man, kind of a tough week. Dolphins, Vikings, you can't really touch. So I think you're down to Bucks at Steelers. I think the Rams and the Packers are your top 2 choices for Survivor. And if not, you go with 49ers at
Buccaneers.
Falcons.
You don't think they're a top choice?
The Bears, it's like -1, man.
The Buccaneers, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I was going to say, or you can go 49ers at Falcons or Bucks at Steelers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't love doing teams on the road.
Falcons scare me. I wouldn't. They're 5-0 against the spread. They're just always, they creep around. They're in games.
Huge 15-point backdoor last week.
And the 49ers are dealing with all those defensive injuries with Bosa, Jimmy Ward, Manuel Mosley, and they have to fly across the country. I think they stayed out there because they just played. I don't know.
If they played Carolina, they didn't land. I mean, that's Kyle, I'm sure they would have stayed across.
They stayed out there.
Yeah, I mean that's an easy. I mean, the Charlotte to Atlanta is a very quick flight. Yes, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I don't love the 49ers, but like your choices are. I mean, I think it's either Packers, Rams, Bucks, 49ers, or if you're in a huge pool and wanted to get super freaky, Bears over Commanders. Commanders stink, man.
And most survival pools,
I wouldn't do that unless it was like
you can only use each team once, right?
That's that.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless it's an April 14th Survivor pool.
Oh no.
In which case, who knows what could happen? All right.
I mean, we could go with the Andy Dalton revenge game against Cincinnati. Breech.
No, don't take the Saints.
Yeah, I don't think I want to take the Saints either.
Joe Burrow returning, making his glorious return to Louisiana.
Oh wow, yeah. There's a lot of storylines in that one.
Who Dey versus who dat? A lot of storylines. It's going down. Yeah, I would not put my Survivor season on Andy Dalton beating the Bengals. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying I would not.
I really wish the Panthers hadn't fired Matt Rule for Survivor purposes. Like, there would be that's who everyone's going to play as the Rams. I don't think the Panthers can beat the Rams.
No.
But I don't know that the Rams are definitely going to score 21 points. The Rams offense does not look good, and the Panthers defense is pretty good.
Yeah, I think that they have one of the lowest, or maybe the lowest, yards per play this season. The
They
Rams
sure do.
offense. It's 4.8, tied for the worst in the NFL. Not ideal. It's actually as crazy as it sounds. 31 and 32, Cincinnati and the Rams. 2 Super Bowl teams a year ago.
That's
Now at the
wild.
bottom of the league in yards per play.
Really? That is wild. Wow,
Yeah.
it's crazy how low I mean, the Rams at least get it with the offensive line. I guess the Bengals offensive line not elite either. Buccaneers and Steelers is kind of intriguing, Breech. I will give you that.
Very intriguing.
Man, I tell you what, not I know we haven't talked about anything other than like nonsense so far, but the 4:00 window. I mean, thank goodness Bills Chiefs is on.
Yeah.
Because it's Panthers at Rams, Cardinals at Seahawks, and Bills at Chiefs. That sets up well for our CBS ratings.
I was just gonna say, hey, we have the good one. It's
Yeah.
fine with us.
Somebody threw out, what about the Pats? Belichick against at the Browns, and I just don't trust the Pats enough to.
I wouldn't take the Patriots in that one. I'd take the Browns.
What?
Survivor-wise, I wouldn't. I mean, I just wouldn't pick it. I can't.
Yeah.
You can't play either one of those teams. Like Belichick revenge game against the only team that's ever fired him. They didn't fire him. The Ravens fired him. Yeah, right. Whatever. And then like a bad Browns team. And then a bad Patriots team. Like, I don't foresee myself like, man, now I'm kind of torn. Breech,
Brinson
you
just
go
talking-
Buccaneers. You go Buccaneers over Rams.
Buccaneers over, yes. Just the only thing that would frighten me about the Rams game is that you just said it, man. The Panthers get that. We just fired our coach. It's that one game spark that you get from the interim head coach. Plus, you have Steve Wilkes taking over the defensive play calling. He clearly did not like what they were doing on defense
He
earlier.
loves to blitz.
And Stafford does not handle the blitz well. He's
I think
lost.
Stafford's great.
He's lost. He's been getting hit a lot, and they've lost every game this season where he's been sacked multiple times.
Yeah, I want to say though that Stafford's. It's not. I don't know if it's like the blitz that's getting him sacked. I feel like it's just pass rush is getting him sacked because the 3 games they've lost to the Bills, the Bills, the Cowboys, and the 49ers. The question is the Panthers defensive front up to the same level as those 3 defensive fronts? It's not that far off.
I was gonna say it's not. It sounds like it. You would say that it's completely off, but it's not really. I mean, I think that they could still be able to apply pressure.
It's not the Panthers defense that is killing them.
In their 3 losses, Stafford has been sacked 19 times. In the 2 wins, he has been sacked twice.
Yeah, that checks out. So the 49ers, number 1, this is updated through today. God bless Football Outsiders for upgrading how quickly they get the DVOA up. It used to be like Thursday. San Francisco, the number 1 team by total DVOA on defense. Buffalo, the number 2 team by total DVOA. Dallas, the number 6 team by total defensive DVOA. Carolina, 17. So I don't know if that's like, I mean, like in theory, that strips away all the stuff that, all the garbage, information and gives you like a legitimate, like, important how they perform on important yards. So, Mike Stack says he's in the Circus Survivor. I'm also the Circus Survivor. It's down to 718 and the winner gets $6 million.
Wait, you guys are both still left?
Yeah, I'm in a group. I'm left in a group with it, but I would be fine winning it with this group. Like it would be.
I was going to say, if 2 of you were 7-18,
I'll buy drinks at Sully's bachelor party.
I love it.
you could pick teams on opposite sides and guarantee that one of you survives the week.
No, I'm teamed up with like.
Oh, I should have signed up for the circus.
Like 10 people.
How does that decision making process go? Just votes?
Yeah, everybody votes, and then it's like most points. My buddy Newman was in the Survivor too, Circus Survivor, and he had Colts, I think, last week. Colts lose?
No, they won.
No, 2 weeks ago. Maybe he lost 2 weeks ago. That's right. Yeah, the Jaguars. It was like 450 people were on the Jags.
The Jags lost to Houston 8 straight times. I just can't believe.
I had the Jags in a separate Survivor pool where it was down to like 210 people. I mean, it was like a chance to use the Jaguars. at home, coming off a loss. You feel like they're going to bounce back, maybe?
I don't
agree
say.
with you.
Yeah.
No.
I would say.
What?
I said I don't know what to say.
Well, I mean, you have to take it. Like the theory is you have to take a chance. Oh, Mike Sachs has 2 left in the Survivor. Good Lord. Man. Wait, if I'm trying to use one with no Rams and Bengals for the extra $1 million. Oh, if you don't use the 2 Super Bowl teams from before, you get an extra $1 million.
Ooh,
Wow.
that's a great rule.
I mean, I'd be willing to use the Rams this week if I had to advance.
Right.
But also, this is the year to do it because those teams haven't been good. They're both 2 and 3. They're too risky. They could lose any week. Like,
Remember, as we talked about, speaking of trends, which we're going to get to in like a few minutes, is like this is only the 3rd time in NFL history where the 2 teams who were in the Super Bowl the year before were under 500 through 5 weeks of the season.
yes. It happened Super Bowl 22, Washington and Denver, and then the following season, both had a losing record through 5 weeks, which is funny because the following season, the Bengals made the Super Bowl. And then Super Bowl 33, Denver and Atlanta both had a losing record through 5 weeks, which is funny because the following season, the Rams made the Super Bowl. And now the Rams and the Bengals are the 2 teams who are in this situation.
Indeed.
Fun
All
fact.
right. Well, Mike, good luck to you. I hope you don't win, but only because I won. Or
Mike, I hope you win, and then we'll meet up in Montenegro for drinks.
Man, that would be a tough scene if gotta just sit here and I'd be pumped for Mike winning $6 million. I think
You'd have to
my
start his
cut
own
would be
podcast.
I think my cut would be it's like 500K. Don't get me wrong. Like whatever the cut would be, I'd be fine with it. But I wouldn't be getting a full $6 million.
Yeah, getting the full 6 is a good time.
Yeah. Would $6 million be enough? I mean, would you? I don't think $6 million is enough to quit your job.
Are you kidding me?
I think it might be.
Yeah, I'm done.
Are you kidding?
I think it depends how many kids you have. If you have like 7 kids,
enough to quit
probably not
this
enough.
job. Yeah,
I would.
I mean, would you quit your job? I mean, because
I would
have to
show
really-
up every day. I'd wear a money suit on the podcast. It would just be made of $100 bills.
I was gonna make a joke like if I won $6 million, I wouldn't show up on time. I would like to do. I'd basically just do my job as I do now anyway. So, I ain't
gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
I don't think. So. I mean, it's obviously enough where you could be like, F you, I'm out. I just think it would behoove you to continue to work, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean,
you're about to get married, Sully. You win $6 million. You think that you think
I win $6 million. I'm not getting married.
I can't wait to cut that and send it to Sully's fiance.
Listen, man.
You're like, listen, we had a good run.
I love you.
Circumstances have changed.
I'm now a millionaire, so I've just gotta see what's out there for the millionaires.
Just gotta see what's going on.
That's savage. Listen, and I love you, but hey, I was thinking about we should write our own vows. I was actually thinking we wouldn't get married.
Yeah, I just kind of came in some money.
Man, all right, let's move on before we get all of us in trouble.
Before Billy just
All right,
shuts
let's
off
take
the
a break.
podcast.
Let's take a break, and we come back. We will actually discuss some of the betting trends from week 6 next. I don't care what anybody says. Like, that was an entertaining first half of the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know what happened, but I liked it.
Went off the rails.
This podcast goes off the rails all the time. Off the rails should have been the name of this podcast, honestly. Oh, Stu Brumhill says he'd sponsor the pod. I might do that too. If I won $6 million, I'd be like, welcome to the Big Six Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. I'd like to thank our presenting sponsor, me. Sorry, I can't get over this. So Bills at Chiefs, huge game on CBS at 4:00. Give me some trends, Sully, for this game, or give Breech some trends while I go get fill up my afternoon cup of coffee.
Well, last I checked, and I know Caesars was down, so I couldn't check what the actual odds were at this point. But I remember seeing that the Bills were favored, and Patrick Mahomes, as an underdog, 7-0-1 against the spread. He's actually been, believe it or not, Patrick Mahomes very good in spots when he's considered an underdog, and really he's kind of owned this matchup between him and Josh Allen, going head to head. I believe he's 3-1. Just averaging 300 passing yards per game, a passer rating of 108.1. And Allen's played well. It's not like he hasn't. I mean, he has a passer rating of 105.1, and he's betting favorite to win the MVP right now. We just saw what he did last week, but I love also getting Patrick Mahomes as an underdog here. Just his past history has been great, and that's one of those scenarios where, I don't know, do you really want to just give Patrick Mahomes more points?
Proving that this is actually coffee.
Oh, there you go.
Chad is accusing me of not having coffee in my cup on the afternoon. Yes. I by the way, Mahomes catching 3 at home is crazy.
So it's 3. Okay. Last I checked, I thought it was 2. Caesars was down for a little bit.
No, it's updated, which means that game last night, the game on Monday night, where the Raiders had a 17-point lead in the first half against the Chiefs, definitely influenced how this line moved. Because we thought, didn't we think on Sunday after Sunday evening, Breech, that it was not, what did it, like 1? Am I crazy? You're muted.
It was 2.5 when we talked on Sunday night, and I think we didn't think it would get to 3 because now
it would go the other way, if anything. But again, the Chiefs also came out slow against the Raiders, and the Bills are much better than the Raiders. Bills have more rest. Bills, Josh Allen didn't have to play in the fourth quarter.
And this is the first time the Chiefs have ever been a home underdog with Patrick Mahomes as their starter. The other times it happened, they were resting their starters in their season finale last year. And then when Mahomes got hurt for those 2 games and they had to send out
Matt Moore.
Matt Moore.
Yeah, Chad Henne and Matt Moore.
Yep. So that was against the Packers and Vikings in 2019. So that's it. Those are your 3 underdog games. Mahomes. So this is new for him. New territory.
There's a lot of psychological stuff that goes into this game too. Like Sean McDermott was fired by Andy Reid. People forget that. Back when he worked in Philadelphia, he replaced the late great Jim Johnson as defensive coordinator. And it was McDermott wasn't doing a bad job. The defense just wasn't as good as it was under Jim Johnson. Andy Reid fired him, hired Juan Castillo, his former offensive line coach, to run his defense. McDermott would end up landing with Ron Rivera, another Andy Reid protege, work his way up. I guess I don't know about you guys, but I guess I don't really have that many people who have fired me. A lot more should have, but like if I'm spurned by somebody in that sphere, like I'm holding it, like I'm holding a grudge.
Yeah, especially when you're in that type of competitive environment.
Yeah,
in the NFL. I think the biggest concern that I have, if you want to take the Chiefs here, is their secondary. 12 passing touchdowns, tied for the most in the NFL allowed. Their secondary is allowing a passer rating of 105.5. It's just, that's been their Achilles heel. And you saw that last night too. Devontae Adams is as good as any wide receiver in the NFL. Couple of massive touchdown catches in that game. I feel like Gabe Davis or Stephon Diggs could do that same exact thing to this defense.
Yeah. What do you think about this over under? That's sort of what 54 is so high, but it's going to be a major square play to take the over. But there's no way you're talking me into taking the under here.
Yeah. Even though the under is 4-1 with the Bills this season, I don't think you'd think that, but it is 4-1.
Well, and I could see Andy Reid, I'm just curious to see what kind of coverages these defenses play against their respective offenses. Are you going to try and aggressively get after Josh Allen? Are you going to try and contain him, prevent him from running, take away the deep shot by playing a shell on top? Or are the Bills going to come out and have a ton of designed runs for Josh Allen to sort of force the Chiefs to creep in and then go over the top with Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs? That sort of chess match is really interesting from that perspective. And there's a very good chance that Andy Reid wants to come out and try and pound the ball with the run. I
And you look at the over-under real quick. The last 3 times these teams have played, including that playoff game last year, they've combined for 78 points, 58 points, and 62 points. So, like, it's been a shootout every time. Tyler mentioned the Chiefs' defense is worrisome. Patrick Mahomes always plays well against the Bills' defense. Maybe adding Von Miller changes a little bit now that he'll face a little bit of pressure. But it just always feels like these two teams play a shootout.
But it also feels like these games don't. It feels like it's a little bit of like a heavyweight match in the sense of you come out kind of feeling each other out, and then all of a sudden, like it just sort of like touchdowns start going, and it's sort of like somebody scores a long touchdown, and then somebody answers, and it's like all of a sudden it just unlocks these overs, and you see the live total never dip that far because Vegas is like has instantly like told the live betting model, like, do not allow this number to get below like 45 at any point during this game. I don't care what quarter it is. These teams score so fast.
And I mean, you talk about that the quarterbacks being under pressure here. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes do play extremely well under pressure. I think they're top 2 in mostly every statistical category when under pressure this season. Where is it? Touchdowns and interceptions. Allen 4-0 under pressure. Mahomes 7-1. Touchdown to interception ratio, both of their passer ratings well above 100. I mean, these guys do play well. Yes, I think the Von Miller factor will be huge. I mean, you just looked at that game last season, 13 seconds to go. They needed a guy like that to shut things down. But still, I do wonder, again, will it matter with these quarterbacks, or will it just be a straight up showdown between Allen and Mahomes?
And real quick, Tyler, you did mention at the top when Brinson was were getting a drink or the bathroom? I couldn't tell. Oh, you were getting getting coffee.
Yeah. By the way, I think there's a good suggestion for I just have a regular coffee maker, which is kind of a pain in the butt for afternoon coffee.
Get a Ninja. Get the double. It has the Keurig that can make 1 cup, but it also has the pot, so you can make a full pot. So you do both.
The Ninja?
The
yeah.
Because I was looking at an espresso, but then you feel a little haughty with those separate pods. And it's a lot easier, but you got to buy the separate pods.
Yeah, the pot.
I can only see myself in a situation where I don't have an espresso pods at my house, and I'm like dumping like cutting open a Keurig pod and dumping it in like a.
That sounds like an addict. Like you're just slicing it open.
I really like coffee. I don't know what to tell you.
Brinson's coffee addiction has to be fixed. But I was going to say real quick that Tyler mentioned that Patrick Mahomes is 7-0-1 against the spread as an underdog. That one push came in the craziest game ever, which was the Monday night game against the Rams.
When football changed forever.
Oh, right.
Football changed forever. The Chiefs were a 3-point underdog, and they lost by 3.
Is like every single outlet, I just remember reading and now football will never be the same again as we unlock the powerful offensive masterminds that will destroy defenses for the rest of time. And it was like the Super Bowl is 13-3. It's like, okay, whoops. All right, let's move on to another game. Cowboys and Eagles. Got anything? Oh, Eagles -5 at home. Sunday Night Football. Over under 42. So you got anything spicy here?
Under combined with these teams this year, 7-3. Both defenses playing absolutely out of their minds. The only question for me is how Jalen Hurts is going to deal with pressure. I have it somewhere. I know the Eagles have the number 1, according to PFF, the number 1 pass blocking grade in the NFL. The Cowboys have the number 1 pass rushing grade in the NFL. So something, not sexy to talk about, but definitely a trenches battle between these two teams is, I think, between the Cowboys defense and the offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles is really going to be the difference here.
Breech.
The interesting thing for me is that I feel like the Cowboys have had their way playing NFC East teams. I know a lot of that has to do with Dak Prescott, and he's obviously not going to be playing, but we're talking about they've won 8 straight games against divisional opponents, and they're 8-0 against the spread.
Seriously? So it carried over from Jason Garrett through Mike McCarthy?
It is carried over from Dak to Cooper Rush. Like it just keeps going for whatever reason. It's just like these coaches flop in other games, but you put them on the field against a divisional rival and they just come up with these brilliant game plans and they make their team look good. So the Cowboys have won and covered in 8 straight games, and that includes 2 with Cooper Rush. Look, they beat the Giants. We know the Giants are a good team now. They won and covered that game. Obviously, they beat the Commanders this year. So it's a pretty healthy streak there. And during that 8-game streak, 2 of the wins were over the Eagles. One by 20 points, the other one by 25, although the Eagles did rest their starters in that game. But in the 20-point game, 41-21, the Eagles did not rest their starters.
By the way, just sort of ran back to the Bills Chiefs really quickly in the broadcast. So the only 2 other games are those kind of like Cardinals, Seahawks, and Panthers, Rams, both on Fox. I was just thinking, like, oh my God, can you imagine if you're like, oh, Bills, Chiefs? It was like, actually, you'll be watching Panthers, Rams because you live in North Carolina. Like that. Like, what a dagger. I assume that it'll be no 1:00 game on Fox locally for people in Carolina. Is that how that works?
I don't know exactly how they do it, but I would assume
It's a doubleheader on CBS for sure.
Yeah,
because like that's like what I'm saying is I think the point of that is they cleared the deck completely on CBS to make sure that no one is like. They didn't want anybody being stuck watching a local game that maybe they didn't want to see instead of Bills Chiefs and complaining about it. I assume that's why they do that.
Right. Yeah. CBS is not going to, they're not going to, we're not going to move people off of this
like
game.
Pats Browns, or I'm trying to see if there's a Easter. I mean, the timing all kind of worked out. I guess you could do Bengals Saints at 4:25, but like that would be a dagger if you were in New Orleans and you were hoping to catch Bills Chiefs and instead got Bengals Saints.
Yeah. I
would be happy.
Would you?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't.
Are you kidding me?
You would be complaining if you couldn't. Anyway. So yeah, Eagles, Cowboys. I mean, I don't think Dak is playing in this game. He hadn't been ruled out, I don't think, yet as of Tuesday afternoon. But I don't think he's playing. All right, let's move on to another game.
They were still talking about him not being able to grip the football.
Yeah, it'd be crazy if he plays.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want him to come back and have that Russell Wilson Packer. Because again, if he comes back and he has that game like Russell Wilson had against the Packers last year, people are like, oh. Should Cooper Rush be the starter? Jets at the Packers. Ooh. Got a nugget for us, Sully?
Well, I just find this one to be really interesting because last I saw it was 7.5 with the Jets getting the 7.5 there, obviously in Green Bay. You have a team that's playing really good in New York. 5 rushing touchdowns last week. I felt like you can run on this Packers defense. I saw it with the Patriots a couple weeks ago. Saquon Barkley was able to run on this team in London last week. And, this Packers team, you're coming from London, kind of had a weird loss against the Giants down the stretch. A bunch of questionable decisions in terms of the offensive play calling. I remember one where the Packers went 3 and out in the second half, and they had 2 deep shots to Allen Lazard. It was sandwiched in between 2 touchdowns scored by the Giants that allowed them to come back and win that game. I don't know if this offense is still a little clunky. I wonder if all of a sudden this good juju with the Jets allows us to get a backdoor cover here. They just have been phenomenal. 58 points in the fourth quarter New York has. That's the highest in the NFL. And Wilson himself has been playing really well in that fourth quarter. So I feel like there's some backdoor potential here with New York.
I will give you one fun fact about Zach Wilson and the Jets. Zach Wilson has played 5 games against NFC teams. He is 0-5 straight up and 1-4 against the spread.
And I'll give you one more too. As much as I'm saying I like the potential for a backdoor here with New York, Aaron Rodgers has been awesome after a loss. The last 12 games after a loss, 12-0 against the spread and straight up. So he's been pretty dynamite to rebound recently after a loss.
Green Bay's also 9th in total DVOA. They're actually 23rd in defensive DVOA. I mean, it feels like just anecdotally their defense is better than that, but it's not.
No.
The Jets are 17th in DVOA. I don't know how that works. 21st on offense, 21st on defense, 17th overall. I guess it's their number 2 special teams on DVOA. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, the Packers at home. That's a tough. Like, Zach Wilson's obviously never played at Lambeau Field, right? I mean, that's
yeah, I can imagine.
Right, it should be like every 4 years or every 8 years or something like that for the crossover. I feel like I like the Packers. They're pretty good, but I mean,
well, I think we just saw it was at 7. I liked it at 7.5, kind of getting that hook for the security.
Yeah, sure. Packers
2-5 ATS over the last 7 games overall. So I mean, they've let teams hang around recently.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers are not a dominant team, but again, like you just got embarrassed by the Giants on national TV. Although the other thing too is we saw last week with the Vikings and the Saints, not exactly like dialed in defenses coming back from London after a lengthy trip and time changes and all that. So that's kind of a concern too.
Teams coming back from London not taking a bye are 4-3 all time. So it doesn't really
I wonder what the against the spread record is.
help you much. I don't know why I don't have that, but I do know that underdogs, which is the Giants-Ravens game, because the Giants also did not take a bye. Underdogs are 0-2 when they don't take a bye after London. 0-2 straight up.
Oh, but
let me see if I can find my handy list.
Teams that coming off, teams not using a bye who are underdogs,
right? So
have not won.
Correct.
Okay.
The
So in
week
other words,
after
it's like,
playing in London.
In other words, if you're I mean, like in theory, and there's a very small sample size, obviously, but
Very
in theory,
small.
But in theory, like you're coming back from London, you're already, up. You already have a difficult task ahead of you as an underdog. I mean, it's impossible for that not to have some impact on your body and how you're going to perform. So that's a little concerning with the Packers. Man, Jags at Colts. Scorcher. It's actually a huge game.
I was just gonna say, sneaky big game.
Like, I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like, this is a huge game for AFC South purposes. Like every W, it feels like every W that you pick up in the AFC South is, the Colts are 2-2-1. The Jaguars are 2-3. Are the Titans on a bye this week? Yes.
Yeah.
Titans and the Texans on a bye.
And for the Jaguars, you get the season sweep already. I mean, I know it's early, but this is it. What you're facing with the Colts this season, and if they're a factor at the tail end, you're going to have that tiebreaker in your back pocket. Obviously, they had the shutout win a few weeks ago in Jacksonville, and this Colts offense, as much as they got the win last week, still not that impressive.
Say it got the win. I mean, the Colts got the win.
The Colts got the win. The offense, not so much. I mean, so
if the Colts fall to 0-3-1 in the division 6 weeks into the season, like it's going to be really tough to overcome any sort of tiebreaker once you get down to the, when you get down to the, like you're going to have to win the division outright, and that's tough to do from 2-3-1.
Yeah, and if you look at look at their last 4 games in the division, 0-4 against the spread.
The Colts.
Mm-hmm.
And we know Jacksonville obviously has that crazy winning streak over Indy in Jacksonville. But when you look at Indy, if you just include both sites, the past 15 times these teams have played, Jacksonville is 13-1-1 against the spread. That is the past 15 games between the Colts and the Jags.
13-1-1?
13-1-1.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
Pretty good.
So whatever reason, Jacksonville, and we talked about this with the Jags-Texans game, how just for some reason these AFC South teams are hexed by at least one other team in their division, cannot beat them for whatever reason.
And they're like terrible teams. There's no reason there should be any kind of 8-game winning streak for either the Jaguars or the Texans, and yet
they exist.
And yet there is. I guess I like the Jaguars here.
Yeah, I just trust, as weird as it sounds, I trust their offense way more, even though they didn't score a touchdown last week. And, Trevor Lawrence is committing 1 million turnovers a game, it feels like, or at least critical ones. Threw one in the end zone last week. But I just like the overall ceiling for the Jaguars right now. I like that Travis Etienne starting to get a little bit more involved. I think he had 70 yards rushing last week. I think that's what it was. But he's starting to kind of pick it up a little bit. I mean, I guess you could say the same thing with the Colts with Alec Pierce, their number 2 wide receiver. He's kind of picked it up over the last 3. Had a big week last week, kind of bailing out Matt Ryan on a few of those. But still, I like the overall projection for the Jaguars, even though you do have to throw in the variable of them being a young team and they can have those stinkers like you saw last week against the Texans. But overall, I mean, they've played this team extremely well.
Jaguars are 7th ranked team by DVOA. Do you know what the Colts are ranked?
20th.
24.
32.
My God.
And their offense is also ranked 32nd. Their defense is actually ranked 11th by DVOA. Jaguars have the 7th ranked defense by DVOA. So the under might be a really good look here, 42. Clearly you could get some shot plays down the field. But the other thing, it's weird too, because you would, the Doug Peterson over Frank Reich thing, I think is maybe some legitimacy to that. Doug Peterson knows what Frank Reich is going to do on offense and just has the better defensive players here to kind of lock down that Matt Ryan led offense. And if you're getting pressure with Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen without blitzing a bunch, it's just gonna be a long day for Ryan. Whereas the Jaguars should be able to, I would think, run the ball decently here.
I can tell you the under's 4-0 in their last 4 meetings, 9-2 in their last 11 games in Indy. Sounds like fun.
Unders the play here. All right.
And every time those unders hit, Jacksonville covered all 4 times.
But wasn't Jacksonville 4-0? Or couldn't you say that every time Jacksonville covers, the under hits?
For the last 4 games.
So the last 4 games in this meeting and matchup has been Jacksonville in the under.
Yes, have both hit in all 4.
Just keep riding Jacksonville in the under. Seems pretty obvious to me. All right. Any other games that you guys want to touch on before we bounce out of here?
That seems good to me.
I think we got a solid 12 minutes on football here. Any other dates, historical dates you need to dial into? What's today's date? The October 11th. Let's just for bleeps and giggles. Let's just see what happened.
To go full circle with the podcast.
October 11 historical events. It was nothing really bad. Oh, you know what? Let's something just terrible. Oh, whoa. 1987. This is a good one. A 3-day hunt costing $1.6 million in 1987. That's a lot of money. Hoping to prove or disprove the legend of the Loch Ness Monster ended today with no scientific proof except 3 sonar blips that showed objects in the middle of the 754 deep loch. If Nessie does exist, the best guess is that it is a prehistoric reptile, a plesiosaur. Billy wants to hit the coaching odds fine. Oh, this is another good one. Theodore Roosevelt became the first. This is obviously 1910, not recently. Theodore Roosevelt became the first U.S. president to fly aboard an airplane with Archie Hoxsey, an aviator for the Wright brothers.
That is fascinating.
I think that's a good one. Yeah. Apollo 7
We're
was
getting
launched.
espresso machine recommendations from the comments.
Breville espresso machine. They're amazing. I have one superb and easy to use and far better than pods. Okay, I will check that out. Thank you. That is actually helpful. Okay, coaching odds before we get out of here. Next coach fired betting odds. I wish I'd actually bet on Matt Rule's first coach fired. That was.
It just seemed like free money, and we didn't do it.
I don't even know what the odds were. I don't even know if he was plus. Well, he's plus 200.
It was plus because no one was negative.
Yeah,
right. And I kept joking they should be minus 5,000. I will say after 2 weeks, you would have been like, oh, Hackett is going to sink this lunker I put on Matt Rule, and then.
But it was clearly Rule going into the year. Like a guy like Kingsbury, who's still, plus 300, the second best odds to be fired right now.
Cliff Kingsbury should not be 3-1.
Yeah.
He's got a contract extension this offseason.
That's what I'm saying.
They're going to have to frame him for some kind of vile, heinous crime to get him out of there.
Even Nathaniel Hackett, as much as it's been horrible, I don't know if you rip the Band-Aid off right now. I feel like you just give him a full season and see what happens.
2-3. They're not firing a guy who's like if he wins this week, they're 500.
I think the interesting one, again, these odds are a little bit short, I guess, but Frank Reich 6-1. If you lose to Jacksonville and all of a sudden you're out of the division race, your seat's warm.
Acting a little. Jim Irsay is not a patient. Jim Irsay is like a looser gooser version of Jerry Jones these days. You feel like Jim Irsay might fire somebody. I don't think Josh McDaniels is getting fired.
I think Tomlin being on there. Billy and I were talking about this. Billy mentioned this.
Mike Tomlin's not getting fired mid-season.
It's ridiculous. It does not make any sense.
Even
Pete Carroll at 10-1. The Seahawks are playing well.
Pete Carroll's not getting fired mid-season.
There's no way.
I feel like Ron Rivera is the most realistic name.
I don't think Ron Rivera is getting fired midseason, though, although he is getting testy with the reporters.
Well, his throwing Carson Wentz under the bus, even if he tried to clarify his comments, that's a fast way to lose your locker room. And if you get blown out or just an ugly loss on national television against the Bears, and plus Dan Snyder's already kind of testy right now because of all these congressional investigations, and maybe he's just thinking, you know what, Ron, I got to send you out the door, man.
I think I don't think Dan Snyder can make an appearance to fire somebody right now. He's not. I don't think he's allowed to. He's been told to step away from the team, and his wife is running it.
Right.
Well, then let his wife fire him.
I don't think Ron Rivera.
She could prove she's actually running the team because some people don't think.
I was actually reading on. I still have it up. Yes, here it is. David Aldridge, who I think probably best known for basketball coverage, but is like a general DC guy now with The Athletic. Is Ron Rivera's job at risk after the Commanders' 1-4 start? This is never pleasant, and it's never personal. In other words, he knows he's going to get yelled at by Ron Rivera for writing this. But we have to talk about the coach now. Ron Rivera's record in Washington 2+ seasons in is 15-23 after Sunday's back-breaking 21-17 loss at FedEx to the Titans. It doesn't matter what happened in Carolina, the very good or the bad or the end. This is not about Rivera's heart or character or work ethic or leadership, all of which are first rate. He is an exemplary man who's had to fight off cancer while being the voice of reason and comfort, as his players have dealt with numerous traumatic experiences off the field. Unless you didn't notice, Brian Robinson running back on the field Sunday just weeks after being shot. Face of your franchise, Ron Rivera is your guy. But then he points out the famous Bill Parcells line. Here's the thing. I don't think people fully grasp that, and maybe I'm wrong. I think Ron Rivera has more influence in DC right now than even like Dan Snyder does.
It kind of feels like he's the representative, whether it be for, obviously coaching matters and gameplay matters, but also just like the figurehead running it. It's almost like he's like a team president, it feels like sometimes.
Correct. Well, so Jason Wright, the team president, is not as like, he's into football, obviously, but he's not like, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think Ron Rivera is sort of like, they've hired, they're trying to change the culture in DC, Washington. Like I think the Washington football team or the Commanders, whatever they are, is the whole organization is more worried about changing the perception of how they're viewed sort of off the field and like in terms of like what it's like working there right now than they are winning football games. And so therefore I do think that Ron Rivera is secure because he has changed. He has helped to engineer change and facilitate change inside that building. Like that to me flies under the radar. And maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, but eventually you do have to win football games. They're 1-4 right now. If they don't beat the Bears on Thursday, they could be 1-9 by the time they go play the Texans in Week 11. And how many
would be a bad look.
That would be. And then if you lost to the Texans, eventually someone's going to put their foot down if you don't win games. And I'm not sure that is.
Yeah, I'll just say this in terms of going back to Frank Reich real quickly. I'm just looking at their schedule. At against the Jaguars this week, and then at Tennessee, you go 0-2 in those games in the division. You're winless through how many division games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 division games. That's keeps warm.
You lose those 2 games, and then a week later you play the Commanders, and a loser gets fired. Frank Reich versus Ron Rivera.
I think Frank Reich. I think. And this is not like about job security. This is not about the coach. This is about the owner to me, where I don't know that I don't think Dan Snyder can like, if you fire your head coach right now, you're just and maybe the Snyders are dumb enough to do it. I don't know why I'm discounting that they're like sane, like rational actors here, but if you fire your coach right now, you're inviting a lot more scrutiny on your franchise, which you're trying to avoid by hiding off like offshore in your yacht. Whereas with the Colts, I think that the Carson Wentz experiment made Jim Irsay very mad. And he's like, okay, it was Carson Wentz's fault. These geniuses figured out how to get Matt Ryan. It's like, wait a minute, Matt Ryan stinks too? Like, I can see him saying, all right, this is not working. And I don't know if it would be Chris Ballard and Frank Reich at the same time. Maybe Chris Ballard is told that they need to move on from Frank Reich. And it's like it's either you or Frank. Like you know. I could just see that being a thing if they get out to a 1-win season.
Well, because at that point, you lose the next 2 weeks. It's just, do you just go into the tank and go, okay, listen, these veteran quarterback retreads have not worked out. Do we just grit our teeth and go to kind of the bottom of the barrel here for a minute, or at least try to get somewhere to the bottom of the barrel and get a quarterback at the draft? Like, is that the next course of action?
Yeah. And but if at the same point, like, do you have Matt Ryan under contract for at least one more year, I think.
Yeah, I don't think you can get rid of him.
Yeah. And it's like, do you want Frank Reich to be the guy who develops your next quarterback? I don't know where Jim Irsay is on this one. I feel like Dan Snyder wants to stay off the radar. I think that Jim Irsay is getting angrier and more irrational with every Colts loss because of what happened at the end of last year and with the Carson Wentz trade and then the Matt Ryan trade. That's
and really quickly, you could get rid of Matt Ryan. You have an $18 million dead cap hit, but he has a $35.2 million cap hit, so you can clear some space there.
Yeah, so you could clear out, and they've always managed their cap pretty well. The other thing you do is you just keep Matt Ryan around and you draft somebody high. Matt Ryan has to know that there was a chance that they draft a quarterback in the first round, particularly if they stunk this year.
I mean, he's 37 years old, so I mean, it's not like.
And he's not aging like Tom Brady.
Yep. All right. That was a meandering, delightful.
It was a whirlwind.
Hour-long.
It was an experience.
Yeah. I mean, at the highlight, I'm like, I texted some friends. I was like, we're the guy. I'm in a different survivor pool with we have 7 people left, and we would love to win it, because there's like big money entry, but not like a lot of people in there. And I was like, well, if you guys won $6 million, would you get married? And these guys would be like, definitely will be like, hell no. There, two or three of them are single. So,
oh my goodness.
All right. That'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you got something enjoyable out of there, or you figured out an espresso machine, or got some survivor tips, or decided to Google your birthday historical dates on your birthday. For Breech, for Sully, I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later. Bye.